Back to Tracy Limited, the changes to the board of directors are as striking as the signatures on the documents.
There's a change over time in the annual statements that are filed with the Nevada Secretary of State. This one was filed October 21st, 1963. Sam Cooke is listed as president, Alan Klein secretary. On May 5th, 1964, Alan Klein is the secretary, and you have to go all the way down here. Sam Cooke is chairman of the board. Officer who is not a director. So in other words, he's been removed from the board of directors. Well, look here at who signed this document. This is Alan Klein's signature.
He also had my grandfather on the board. After they finished with their finagling, Papa was no longer on the board. Sam was not president. Sam was an employee.
Now, Sam was the kind of person, if you totally disappointed him, you didn't get a second chance. He would tell you off, tell you why, and just, that's it. And that's obviously what he did with Alan a few days before he was killed.
And if you believe the people around him, before he died, he was getting ready to get out from under Alan Klein, because ultimately he essentially wanted to be his own manager. It's why he started a record label. It was that way he was the guy, and he had some control.
Klein said to me, when he was talking to me on the phone, "I know you think I murdered Sam Cooke." That shocked me, hearing those words coming from his mouth. Not I think that I was responsible for it, but I murdered Sam Cooke.
So a lot of people think there was a conspiracy, that maybe Sam was targeted to be killed because he wanted to break up with Alan Klein. Wow, that's pretty sensational. I don't know if that's true or not. And you know, Alan Klein is dead, gone, so we can't ask him. And I don't know. I just don't know. That's hard for me to believe, but who knows? Anything can happen.
We traveled to Pittsburgh and visited Dr. Cyril West. He reviewed the forensic documents.
I am a forensic pathologist. I'm also an attorney, and I work as a forensic pathologist and medical legal consultant. I've done about 20,000 autopsies myself. I have reviewed, supervised, or signed off on about 40,000 other autopsies. I've been deeply involved in many prominent cases over the years, beginning with the John F. Kennedy assassination. I've been involved in Elvis Presley. Then other cases have included O.J. Simpson, John Benet Ramsey, Whitney Houston and her daughter, Phil Spector. You know, there have been some other cases. Well, nobody ever contacted me about Sam Cooke. The autopsy was done by the deputy medical examiner, the Office of Coroner in Los Angeles, an office with which I am quite familiar. The pathologist who did this autopsy, we weren't personal friends, but I remember him, Dr. Cade. The autopsy showed a gunshot wound of entrance. The bullet entered on the left side and traversed across the chest, perforating first the left lung, then the heart, and then the right lung, bleeding, massive bleeding into both chest cavities as a result of the damage to the lungs and to the heart. You've got people claiming that Sam Cooke had all kinds of other injuries. They talk about significant injuries to his knee. I think somebody talked about fractured knee. I think they talk about fractured hands and so on. And I would say, as you look at this picture, there do appear to be what I would call abrasions, contusions on the knee. However, they are not mentioned at all in the autopsy report. Zero. Zero. Then the persons who have made these observations and allegations claim that the pictures of Sam Cooke in the coffin at the funeral home show deformities of his hands. I don't believe that a funeral director in America is going to have somebody's bloodied hands open. It's not going to happen. I can't tell you about other countries in the world. We're big for open casket funerals in America. That I do know. Somebody has suggested that he was shot elsewhere and brought there. You don't get rid of blood that easily. If he had bled out elsewhere and so on, you're going to have blood patterns going in there on the floor and so on. We don't have any of that to my knowledge. You don't just lift up a body and shoot it somewhere and then transport it and dump it somewhere. It's not that easy. It is these kinds of negligent acts, these kinds of incomplete action that provide the nidus for conspiratorial people, conspiratorial-minded people. But I just, it's not for me to disparage or criticize other people who have that belief and so on. But to make that quantum leap from some kind of business commercial controversy between Sam Cooke and one or more of the people who were involved in his professional career, with all of the things that played out that we won't repeat now, ultimately ending in his death, and continuing on into the autopsy and the inquest and all the people involved, no, I'm sorry, I can't join that parade.